Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the seventh awareness of an enlightened person, which is cultivating wisdom. And last time I talked about maintaining Samadhi, and Samadhi and wisdom always go hand in hand. So Dogen said, wisdom is aroused by hearing, reflecting, practicing, and realizing. And then the Buddha said on this awareness, when you monks have wisdom, you are without greed, always reflecting upon yourself. Do not lose this wisdom. In this way, you can thus attain liberation in my Dharma. One who does not is neither a follower of the way, which is a monk, nor a white-robed layperson, nor is there any name for him. True wisdom is a stout boat which crosses the sea of old age, sickness, and death. It is also a great bright torch in pitch black ignorance, a good medicine for all sick people, a sharp axe that fells the tree of delusion. Therefore, by means of this wisdom, which is heard, reflected upon, practiced, you will increase your merit. When one has illumination of wisdom, even though one's eyes are merely physical eyes, one is a clear-seeing person. This is what is meant by wisdom. So it's a lot to take in. So he talks about the qualities of wisdom, but he says that we have to the wisdom which is heard, reflected upon, and practiced. And Dogen says that wisdom is aroused by hearing, reflecting, practicing, and realizing. So when we start a meditation practice, we start a vertical journey into the depths of our mind. And we begin to experience that there is much more to the mind, a whole new and infinite dimension that's beyond reason and intellectual understanding. When we let go of our narrow, limited notion of self, we can experience a new, healthier version of who we are. This new version is not limited by fear, guilt, or hatred. This new sense of self is not bounded by conventional notions of space and time, nor is it limited by conventional knowledge and understanding. As I mentioned last time, wisdom is the functioning of Samadhi, seeing everything as it is. Or as the Buddha said, a clear seeing person. But the functioning of wisdom is compassion. That's how wisdom appears in the world. True compassion is an unconditional acceptance of ourselves and others. So the Sanskrit word for wisdom is prajna. The word prajna appears in the first line of the Heart Sutra that we chanted this morning. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva doing deep prajna paramita clearly saw emptiness of the five conditions, thus completely relieving misfortune and pain. So prajnaparamita, that's the wisdom that carries us from the shore of delusion to the shore of enlightenment. So the first half of the Heart Sutra explains what prajna is, this wisdom. It says, all dharmas are forms of emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. That's the description of prajna. And the second half explains the functioning of the bodhisattva, who realizes this prajna. The bodhisattva lives prajnaparamita with no hindrance in the mind. No hindrance, therefore no fear. Far beyond deluded thoughts, this is nirvana. All past, present, and future Buddhas live prajnaparamita and therefore attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. So Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi is the perfect, complete enlightenment. So that's how we function. So as I keep saying over and over again, prajna is everything as it is. But the Buddha also said that everything is impermanent or changing. So, if prajna is the enlightened state, that state has to be changing too. If we can really get that and let it soak in, there's no way to be upset about ourselves or others. No way to feel dissatisfied or guilty about not doing the right things. It's all going to change, whatever it is. Instead of being tormented by guilt and bad feelings, we simply say, let's pay close attention and continually practice prajnaparamita. We just don't say it's okay, whatever it is. No, we say, let's pay close attention. If we're causing problems for ourselves or others or any kind of suffering, pay close attention and practice prajnaparamita. So how do we do that? That's the focus and point of our practice. Sitting on the cushion, we quiet the mind. Then we're able to experience ourselves in a wider context. And we're able to observe the activity of our mind without identifying with it. We're beginning to experience the one body. And the more we're able to see the strategies we develop to protect our view of who we are, the less potent these strategies become. We need to do it over and over again in order to shine the light of prajna in our dark places. So prajna is empty in the sense it has no fixed content. It's everything as it is, like a mirror that reflects what appears and then is empty when there's nothing in front of it. And everything as it is not fixed. It's constantly changing. So one synonym for perfect, everything being perfect, is absolute. And absolute, again, means everything just as it is. Perfect does not imply good over bad. Perfect is neither good nor bad. It's just what is as it is. So in Zen, when we say something's perfect, we're pointing to this absence of dualism. Dogen's teacher, Tendo Nyojo, wrote a poem about prajna. It goes like this. The entire body is the mouth hanging in the air. It does not matter from which direction the wind blows. North, south, east, west. The windbill always makes the sound of prajna. Ding, ding, ding. So a weather vane will tell you which direction the wind's blowing, but a wind bell, it'll blow no matter, it'll ding no matter what direction the wind blows from. Aiken Roshi wrote in his book, The Practice of Perfection, which is about the paramitas. He said, when he was still young in his practice, his Zen friend said, the songs of birds are prajna, the sound of the wind is prajna. He said that didn't make any sense to him. To him, prajna is some state of realization that's beyond the worldly, the secular, and the profane. It's some state of religious ecstasy that makes us impervious to the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Later, Aiken Roshi realized that if it had been a snake, it would have bitten him. Aiken Roshi is an interesting guy. He used to come to the Zen Center in LA and study with Maizumi Roshi, and he would give talks. And one time, after he'd been there for several occasions, I was talking to him and I said, I really liked what you said last time you were here. And he said, oh, really? You like that? He says, I don't believe that anymore. So Aiken Roshi's talking about seeing prajna reminds me of the first time I was in San Francisco. I wanted to see the Fisherman's Wharf. And I had a picture in my mind of what a wharf looks like. It's like a pier that goes out into the bay. You know, that's the way it is in Santa Monica Bay, Los Angeles. And in Monterey Bay, there's a pier that goes out. And so I came to San Francisco Wharf. I didn't see a pier, you know, going out into the bay. And so I was puzzled, and I asked a policeman if he could direct me to the Fisherman's Wharf. And he said if it fell down, it would hit you. And I was looking for something else and didn't appreciate the qualities of the San Francisco Fisherman's Wharf. Later, I came to appreciate it. And there's a koan in the Blue Cliff Records that talks about prajna. It's in case 90. And a monk asked Chimon, what is the essence of prajna? And Chimon said, the oyster encloses the bright moon. And then the monk asked, what's the function of prajna? And Chimon says, the rabbit conceives her young. Now, according to Chinese folklore, the pearls are formed when an oyster captures the moon. And rabbits are conceived in the light of the full moon. But if you want to understand Chimon, we shouldn't dwell on these ancient Chinese legends. So actually, oysters create pearls from sand or grit that gets into their membranes, and they cause irritation. And the oyster secretes a fluid to protect itself from the sand, and that fluid hardens to a pearl. So without difficulties and irritations, there'd be no pearls. Without going through the dark cave of demons, there's no realization of prajna. And like Tendo Nyojo says, it doesn't matter from which direction the wind blows. North, south, east, west, the wind bell always makes the sound of prajna. We just don't recognize that as prajna. So we have judgments about it. We think when I'm enlightened, I'll have no problems. I won't have to struggle. I won't have to work hard. And everybody will love me and respect me. So if you love what you're doing, work is not hard and struggles are not struggles. And people will love you because you manifest love yourself. That's the essence of prajna. So what about the functioning of prajna? How does prajna manifest in the world? So the Heart Sutra explains it. Actually, in the Identity, Relative, and Absolute, it says, water's wet, earth's hard. Rabbits mate. The kits are born. The mother rabbit takes care of them. And the cycle continues. So if I call your name, Junsui, and you answer, that's prajna. That's a marvelous functioning of prajna. Dogen said, all Buddhas are nothing but prajna paramita. Prajna paramita is the entire Buddha Dharma. This Dharma is the form of emptiness, no creation, no destruction, nothing pure or impure, not increasing, not decreasing. The manifestation of Prajna Paramita is a manifestation of a Buddha. If you seek the truth, you will learn that to honor Prajna Paramita is to meet the Buddha. And you cannot say that you have truly met the Buddha unless you serve him. So that's what Dogen said. But I've often said that our practice is not about what we can get out of it. It's about service. How can we manifest our bodhisattva's vows? The first line of the Heart Sutra says, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva doing deep prajna paramita. So that's how. Since prajna is beyond space, how can it be deep and shallow? Since it's beyond time, how can it be ancient and modern? Although prajna is sometimes equated with emptiness, like in the Heart Sutra, it transcends emptiness and form and encompasses both. So the Heart Sutra says form is exactly emptiness and emptiness is exactly form. And some of you have worked on these as koans. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. They're not stating the same thing. It's not like in the commutative principle of algebra, if A equals B, it means B equals A. You have to realize both. Form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. So Master Kazan wrote this poem to explain these statements. He said, though clear waters range to the vast blue autumn sky, how can they compare with the hazy moon on a spring night? Most people want to have pure clarity, but sweep as you will, you cannot empty the mind. People want to rest in pure clarity and clear waters. What about the ambiguity of the hazy moon? That's a wonderful Zen image, the hazy moon. You know, sometimes when the moon is shining and we go out back here and we see the clouds, and sometimes you can see the moon and then it disappears in the clouds. You know, it's just kind of, is it there or is it not there? You know, it's kind of ambiguous. But sweep as you will, you can't empty the mind because the diapers still need changing, and the lawn needs mowing, the meals need fixing, and your partner needs your attention, and the plumbing needs repairing. Unless you live in a grass hut away from everybody up in the mountains. So in order to do that, we need a clean diaper, a functional lawnmower, fresh food and utensils, time to spend with our partner, and money to repair the plumbing. So without prajna, there would be no Buddha way. And when we realize prajna, all of the paramitas become deeper, and in turn, deepen our experience and realization of prajna. So the other paramitas are dana or giving, shanti or patience, virya or effort, sila or the precepts, and samadhi, deep concentration. According to Buddhist theory, there are 4 kinds of wisdoms. And when attachments to our consciousness are transformed, they transform into these wisdoms. And also, according to Buddhist theory, consciousness is divided into 8 different levels. So the first 5 levels of consciousness are the 5 senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And these are the sources of our common desires, such as the desire for exquisite food, great sex, ample sleep, beautiful vistas. And we're able to let go of our clinging to these desires. They transform into all-accomplishing wisdom. We no longer have the barriers that prevent us from experiencing our well-being independent of circumstances. And plain food becomes as nourishing as gourmet food. See, it doesn't mean that we don't have these desires, we just stop clinging to them. That's what all-accomplishing wisdom. But the 6th level of consciousness, after the 5 senses, is our mental perception that receives the stimuli of the senses and interprets them. It's our cognitive processing center or conceptual mind. This level decides if something's good or bad, worthwhile or unfavorable, We get caught in the endless cycle of judging everyone and everything. So to get out of this cycle, we need to develop discerning wisdom. So discerning wisdom is a wisdom that clearly sees how to act in the world without going through the process of reasoning. With discerning wisdom, there's no attachment and thus no dissatisfaction or craving for more and better things. The realization is so powerful that all things are naturally identified as oneself. This discerning wisdom functions in our world to help us see clearly. And the seventh level of consciousness is called manas, or I consciousness, and it corresponds to the ego that orchestrates all the desires. It's the basis of narcissism. It gives rise to pride and arrogance, which consist in believing that we are a separate self, which is better or superior than others, either spiritually or materially, intellectually. And the corresponding wisdom is a wisdom of equanimity. A mind that has realized this wisdom does not separate between pure and impure, good and bad, I and others. Rather, it experiences all things in equanimity, without judgment. And the eighth level of consciousness is called alaya consciousness, or storehouse consciousness. It's where everything, all memories, images, ideas, and information is stored. It also contains the seeds of our karma. Those seeds that we water will sprout and affect the other level of consciousness, and simultaneously the other levels of consciousness will plant seeds of karma in the storehouse consciousness. When we purify our karma, mirror-like wisdom naturally arises. Mirror-like wisdom reflects everything as it is. Hakuin expressed this view very clearly in his writing, The Four Ways of Knowing. He said, when discriminating mind is suddenly shattered and the awakened essence immediately appears, the universe is filled with boundless light. This is called the way of knowing of the great, perfect mirror wisdom, the pure body of reality. This is realization all at once. The pure body of reality, that's the Dharmakaya. So when we open our eyes to the Dharmakaya, we see it's empty because it has no fixed content. It is vast because it's without limit. And if we set up any kind of boundary, that's not the Dharmakaya. That's why when Bodhidharma was asked, what is the first holy principle of Buddhism? He said, vast emptiness, no holiness. He was talking about the Dharmakaya, the pure body of reality. Another Zen expression like the one of Tendo Nyojo about the wind bell doesn't matter from which direction the wind blows. One ancient Zen worthy said, on whose doorstep does the sun not shine? So when the Buddha said everyone without exception is the Buddha, has the wisdom and virtue of the Buddha, everybody has this prajna available, but we don't see it because we obscure it. So on whose doorstep does the sun not shine? So you might think that I'm not worthy, but the sun is still shining on your doorstep. You just need to see it. And in the words of Torye Zenji, who was a successor of Hakun, he said, when I, a student of the Dharma, look at the real form of the universe, all is the never-failing manifestation of the mysterious truth of Tathagata. Tathagata is another name for the Buddha, or it could be a name of wisdom. Everything is the never-failing manifestation of the mysterious truth of prajna. In any event, in any moment, and in any place, none can be other than the marvelous revelation of its glorious light. That's prajna. As Aiken Roshi said, if it were a snake, it would have bit me. But please, that's all that I have to say.